Are you an empath who works on themselves a lot, clears your energy, does a lot of introspective self-development work, and you still feel kind of heavy, depressed, stuck? Maybe you're trying to get your life to move in a particular direction. You feel like you're dragging something that won't let it go. I'm going to be talking about a very sort of mysterious, kind of secretive blind spot that a lot of us empaths have as far as moving our lives in the direction that we want. So stay tuned. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, please take a second to like and subscribe. And I just want to let you know I'm doing free breakthrough calls for a little bit longer. These are really phenomenal 30-minute calls where we get on Zoom, we go over your vision for your life, what you want to create, what's stopping you, what's blocking you, and some steps you can take to iron everything out and get into the flow of the life you want to have. Empaths and entanglement. I've talked about quantum entanglement in many of my other videos, but I will touch on it here for a minute. So quantum entanglement essentially is the reality that we're all interconnected, that we're all connected, but we specifically deeply connect and link to people we have strong emotional or energetic connections or relationships with. So parents, family members, friends, partners, these are all people that we quantumly entangle with. Now, quantum entanglement is really meant to just be like this sort of temporary thing where we come together, we meet each other, we share energy, we have an experience, and then we separate. But most of us don't know shit about energy on this planet because energy was basically demonized and we were taught we were just, mindless automaton monkeys. So most people don't even believe in the reality that they're still living in, regardless of their belief. So what happens is we entangle with people, events, situations, etc. Like to this day, I have to be very careful what I watch. And I will watch things that are not, sometimes I like suspenseful things or things with a little bit of more of a darkness in them, but I have to be very careful and I'm very selective about which programs I watch on Netflix or movies, whatever. And then I'm very conscientious to unlink afterward because it will fill my dream time. It will fill my consciousness. And I will start to actually notice that my energy, my thoughts, my subconscious take on the imprint of whatever it was that I was watching because that's how energy works. It is very important for everybody, but particularly sensitive psychics, intuitives, empaths, to get into a daily habit of unlinking from basically everything. You are being targeted all day by the media, by cell towers, by programs, by everything. And it's okay, but we want to be sovereign in our energy. So if you watch a program, if you hang out with a person that doesn't have the greatest energy, if you go to a bar, it's fine, but make sure when you leave, you ask your higher self to unlink from any non-beneficial energetics. Sometimes we have to go into our past and do this as well. So in regards to today's topic, I'm going to be talking about empaths and sexuality. Because our sexual energy is the most powerful energy that we have. Essentially, creativity and sexuality are the same thing. It's why sexuality was demonized so much, because it is the essence of your entire life force. It is your life force. So if you feel guilty for your sexuality, you feel guilty for existing. You are suppressing, sitting on, judging, condemning, and restricting your life force, and you're probably going to feel like shit. However, we want to watch very carefully what we're doing with our sexual energy because that can be a major blind spot, as I've mentioned. Before I get into partners and stuff and what you can do if you're having this issue, I want to tell a quick story about something that happened to me. So when I've talked about this before, but I was a heroin addict for 10 years, but I started doing heroin when I was about 17 and a half. And from about 17 and a half to about 22, things weren't great. I mean, they were great the first year or two. My life started to go a little bit downhill. I didn't go to college. I didn't get the record deal. I didn't do very well in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts because I was dope sick all the time and leaving to get drugs. But I wasn't that bad. Physiologically, I was okay. I wasn't in an awful state. But when I was 22, I manifested a partner, a girlfriend. And I did this from a very kind of twisted place. I didn't know. I made this command to the universe. I'll do this in another video, but briefly, I was asking for a partner, but I wanted like a really healthy partner, but I was aware that I wasn't in the greatest space. I was aware that to get some beautiful divine like goddess when I was like shooting heroin every day probably wasn't going to be a match. So I put this catch-all in the command and I said, or whatever I'm ready for. And that's what I got, what I was ready for. I was also in a very traumatized space when I made this command. Anyway, a few days later, this girl shows up and almost immediately we're in a relationship within a few days from that point. And we started having sex. And I noticed, and I didn't really realize this or put it together at the time, but in retrospect, I noticed all of a sudden my life went from going like this, like down a little, down a little, down a little, to a complete and utter fucking free fall. I fell off a cliff without a parachute, and I was just whoosh. I started having transit ischemic attacks, which are like mild strokes. I was having near heart attacks. I was, shooting drugs, and my skin started blowing up and swelling. I gained like 50, 60 pounds over the course of a couple months. I had all these stretch marks all over my body. My life went to shit. And what I realized when I later healed and got like energetically conscious was it was because I was entangled with this person. And that's not to say they're a bad person, but her energetics were really bad. And she had a lot of trauma, a lot of curses, a lot of darkness. And I entangled very deeply with her and absorbed all of it. And so it basically took my own trauma and it magnified it by like 10,000%. Does this ring a bell for anybody watching this? Does it strike a chord at all? Is it possible that whatever's going on in your life could be connected to somebody that you're sexually entangled with? One of the things that happens is sexual energy magnifies everything. Okay, it magnifies positivity and it magnifies negativity. It's just an amplifier. Most of the people in this world are not very conscious. And most of even the conscious people's energy fields are kind of crappy. Not everyone, but it takes a lot of awareness to keep yourself very clean. So if you're having sex with a lot of different people, one, you're having sex with all the people they're having sex with too energetically. And as an empath, that's a freaking nightmare. But you ought to be very careful because you're absorbing everything. And then you're amplifying your own trauma and you're taking on theirs. Sexual energy is something to be watched and monitored very closely. Now, if you're in a relationship with a very high vibrational person who's very healing, it could be triggering you in a way where it's triggering you to heal. And so there might be a little bit of a negative dynamic, but it's not because it's not beneficial, it's because you're healing. But a lot of times, if you're feeling heavy, if you're feeling depressed, if weird things are happening in your life, negative synchronicities, and you have kind of an intuitive hit on someone you're with, that's what it is, and it's not positive. Okay, so these are things to be very aware of. So now, what do you do? One, how do you determine if it's not beneficial? And two, what do you do? Well, the first is kind of what I already said. Do you feel heavy? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel weighed down? Do you feel like there's something you're dragging? Do you feel like there are things going on in your life that seem a little bit out of your control? Yes, it could be your childhood trauma. Yes, it could be your own energetics. Yes, it could be all those things, and it probably is that too. But this added factor from a person you're sexually entangled with can be incredibly significant. Do you feel sort of possessed? Do you feel like some of your thoughts aren't really yours? Are you having a hard time getting things moving in your life in a positive direction and you don't understand why? These are all little clues that might lead to who you're entangled with. Now, what do you do? Well, most of the time, the answer is simple. Most of the time, you got to cut it. And you'll know. Like if every time you have sex with this person, you feel worse, or if you felt worse since you started having sex with this person, you probably just have to cut it because it's very difficult to be having sex and clearing your energy all the time. You can do that, but you want to like also look at like how many different people are you having sex with? Who are they having sex with? Think of it as like a giant garbage can that just compounds. They're basically taking their garbage and dumping it onto you. And if they're having sex with a bunch of people and you're having sex with a bunch of people, you're getting all the garbage. You're like a garbage attractor field. That's not a good space to be in. It can be very difficult to do this, especially if you care about somebody. But I would ask yourself, like, what's more important, your sovereignty, your sanity, and your healing, or this dynamic? Now, if it's a partner and it's someone you really love and it's someone who's generally pretty healthy, then what you can do is start, like I said at the beginning of the video, unlinking your energetics after you have sex. You can ask to have your sexual relationship purified. You can ask to have any aspects of you that are being triggered or drawing in some of the negative energy to be cleared and healed. If you need a little help with this, you might want to work with somebody one-on-one, because these are very intricate, tricky things to do and hard to see sometimes. And then when you're done, meditate, come into your body, and ask your higher self or your spirit guides to remove any negative energies, frequencies, and vibrations that you picked up from this person, from all time, space, dimensions, realities, and realms, and anything that they have created and co-created, and just send it to its proper place in the universe. The language isn't so important. It's just basically setting the intention to disentangle and unlink from anything with that person that is non-beneficial for you, and then trust that your higher self will do it. And it's important to be connected to your body or meditative, because this happens faster and more powerfully when we're calm, when we're present, and we're not floating around in our heads. Then the next thing you want to do is ask for any of your truthful soul energy that you lost in the exchange to be brought back, healed, purified, and transformed and reintegrated. So you're basically doing a disentanglement, and you're calling back your highest and best energy healed. You don't want to just bring it back as it is, because you're bringing it back with everything that's imprinted upon it. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do also, that you would want to look at, is your relationships with past partners. Because we're all so unconscious on this planet that we're walking around still entangled to people we were with 20 years ago in a non-beneficial way. So do the exact exercise I just mentioned for all your past partners. Call them into your mind in meditation and ask your higher self to unlink you from any non-beneficial energetics to them with everything that it's created and co-created. And then just send the energy to wherever it's meant to go, to its proper place in the universe. Trust that it will go there, and ask to have your truthful soul energy brought back, healed, purified, transformed, and reintegrated. And this will really help you start to get sovereign, start to get clear. And also, as you clear your past partnerships and dynamics, and you work on your own inner wounds as far as to what drew them in if they weren't positive, you will open your energy field and your space for the right person for you. Because just think, if you have all these imprints and all these interferences in your field, those are like magnetic attractor fields that are going to draw like magnetics and energetics to them. Now, if you've let it all go and you've opened yourself up to your highest timeline and your higher self, you're going to begin to draw in people that resonate with you and are for your highest good. And again, like I said, sexual energy amplifies anything. So when you call in a very healthy partner for you, that could help your life take off even more. You don't need somebody to have your life take off, of course, but it can help you because it's love, it's support, they can help you heal. There's so many benefits to it. But it's very difficult in our society because, you know, there's a lot of just dating, relationships, unconsciousness. No one's aware of their energy. People are having sex with 45 people. There's nothing wrong with that. But the chances of you absorbing as an empath a whole bunch of shit are astronomically high if you're not very careful. So please let me know what you think of this video. Please leave any comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you have revelations, breakthroughs. I do have a free energy clearing in the description below that can help you a lot with this if you just bring this intention into it. Other than that, thank you so much. I very much appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you in the future, and goodbye.